Welcome to Vets to PM's Military Transition Academy podcast, the show where we discuss how to succeed in transitioning from the military service to the civilian workforce. This show and the academy it represents helps veterans transition into meaningful, lucrative post-service careers. Your primary host is Eric Doc Wright, PhD, certified manager, military veteran, serial founder, best-selling business author, philosopher, linguist, and coach. Your other host is Jeremy Burdick, project management professional, scrum master, product owner, and retired Air Force chief, and the current COO of Vets to PM and the Professional Development Unit University, where we will interview veterans successful in corporate America and business to bring you nuggets of wisdom every episode to make you more successful. Next, let's introduce today's guest. Our guest today is Dustin Hayes, U.S. Navy medically retired, CEO, founder of Red, White, and Badass Brew, coffee as old as the American spirit, and host of The Coffee, Conversation, and Badass podcast. We tell heroic stories of badass people who overcame mental health, addiction, relationship, and business struggles. That's his tagline from his podcast, and we're honored to have him on board, getting knocked down, getting back up. And it's just a story of overcoming some of life's challenges. I hope you enjoy it. Well, cool. So tell me a little bit about the transition for you, U.S. Navy, and then talk to me.
Yeah, first the transition wasn't, one that you normally would go through. I got medically retired. And so when I injured myself, really just, it was not that bad. I really just rolled my ankle. So it wasn't that bad initially. But then I kept on it for 5 more months, and really just did irreversible damage to my ankle and kept on. It was popping Motrin like, it was going out of style, man. It was just boom, boom, keep the swelling down, keeping it wrapped up. Kept re-injuring it, because once you just have a massively, hurt ankle, it's just very easy to, injure again. So I kept re-injuring it. Well, after I got out and, taking my boots off and stuff, was just, my ankle just instantly started swelling up. And I was like, all right, well, I need to get this checked out. So I did. They're like, yep, you've got torn ligaments. I was like, well, really knew that. I already knew that. I didn't need a doctor to tell me. So they went in there, they operated on it the first time. And when they did, they caused a little bit of a nerve damage. But they're like, yeah, we're just going to stop there and we're going to do PT, physical therapy. And so they did. Flunked out physical therapy twice. They tried some other stuff. They gave me the cortisone shot, stuff like that. Nothing really took. So then they went back and said, okay, you have to have surgery again. Well, the first time I did surgery, they put me in a walking boot. And when I go to stand up on that walking boot, I could not get vertical. And, the doc's looking at me like, come on, get up. What are you doing? And I'm in tears almost. I'm like, I cannot stand up straight. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I cannot stand up straight. Something is going on with my back and my right leg. And so they're like, okay, well, sit down. And so I was like, all right, so sit down. Anyway, they go into it. I ended up having sciatica and herniated disc in my back. So then they're going to put me through PT for that. They have a second surgery. Well, they fucking botched that surgery. They broke my ankle in order to create scar tissue between my ankle for a cartilage. Well, it didn't grow in properly. Instead of growing in like this, it grew in all jacked up, and they caused more nerve damage. And they're like, you're it. That's it. We can't do this anymore because you're essentially going to lose your freaking ankle because there's nothing left we can do. So at that time, I was like, okay, well, just give me some time. I think I can manage the pain and get back to active duty. And in the meantime, they're like going through PT for the back, and the back is just jacked. They did 3 minor surgeries. They did like some microablations on some nerves in the back, which worked for a short period of time and then completely failed out. Then they found out I have herniated disc in my upper back too. So I have my L5, S1 fucked up. And then they're like, you also have degenerative disc disease. And you're it. That is it. You're done. So I also flew UAV for Special Forces. So I was kind of going through a little bit of a trauma that I didn't really know I was kind of going through. at the time until one of my guys was like, hey, dude, you probably should go talk to somebody because you're not acting normal. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm acting perfectly fine, dude. And I wasn't. So, conclusion, they medically, they said, you know what? You were not fit for active duty. You can't go back to active duty. You're getting medically retired. Well, this time I kind of started going down a different path, a dark path. Gained 75 pounds, still inactive. And now my whole structure is just completely shattered. And they're like, yep, May 22nd, you're getting out. And I'm like, what does that even look like? What does the civilian world look like? I have no idea. Then they sent me to some TAPS classes. And this whole time I'm going through depression. I'm going through anxiety. I'm having some suicidal thoughts, and got a little bit of help while I was in active duty. It wasn't until after I got medically retired is when I went back and was like, and my wife at the time was like, you need to talk to somebody. And so this whole time I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We're going to be fine. I'm going to go get this nice cush government job, and we're just going to live happily ever after. Well, if you ever apply for government jobs, it is not as easy as what everybody else thinks it is. Because I don't know how many applications I put in. I got 0 interviews. And so I did what everybody else did, or most what other people do. I went to college, but I'm still not dealing with those traumas and what's happened. So I went out and was kind of self-medicating. I gained, 75, 80 pounds, and just uneaten healthy, drinking, the whole 9 yards. So so I went through school, started getting help, but it wasn't like therapy, individual therapy that was helping me. It was actually group therapy with like-minded guys who'd gone through some of the same situations that really actually got me back together, and some of the guys that I served with that really got me back to it. And not only that, but the VA turned me into a zombie, because they're like, hey, you've got all these problems. And their idea was, here, just take drugs. And I was screaming, going, hey, I don't want to take drugs. I'm not a drug addict. I'm not a pill popping kind of guy. I don't want to mask the problem. I just want the problem to be fixed. Or what is my new normal going to look like? What do I need to do it? And couldn't really get answers. And they did send me to what was called the Wave Clinic. And I can't remember, they changed the name of it now. And I can't remember the name of it, but it was the Wave Clinic. And it's where they take you and kind of float you in a pool like an infant in a womb, really, is what it's kind of like. And they just kind of wade you in a pool and have this water go over the pool. And they do this for, the psychological aspect of it. So it kind of keeps that calming feel. And so I still use that technique today. So if I feel anxiety or whatever the case may be, like when the first time I told my story at public speaking, I went straight to the bathroom, splashed my face with water, and it gave me that cool, calm sensation feeling. And it's like, okay, breathe. So my transition was just dark. It was a dark transition. The military told me that when I went to Washington to fight my case, that I was no longer an asset, I was a liability. And I've never been told that in my life. And I just took that to the extreme. And I was like, wow, like I'm completely worthless. And so if the military thinks I'm worthless, how is the civilian sector going to think of me? I'm broke. I don't have nothing to offer. I don't. And it wasn't until I started talking to other people who were wounded and everything else that I started changing my mindset. It was like, wait a minute, that was just some diagnosis from a doctor, maybe having a bad day, and he just told me straight. And I just took it to the extreme and started changing my mindset. And then I went into it like, you know what? I'm not worthless. I actually have a lot of value here. I'm just not portraying the value that I have and what I can bring to the table for organizations. Then I just couldn't get hired. I couldn't really get a job. And my buddy was like, hey, dude, I'm going to give you a job. I'm going to pay you $15 an hour to be a handyman. And I was like, okay, well, I'm taking $15 because that's all I've got on the table. Now I could go get a job at McDonald's or whatever, a fast food job, but is that really going to turn into a career? Probably not. Right. So I took this job, started being a handyman and refurbishing airplane hangars, and started doing electrical work, which I've never done electrical work. And just started doing the handyman kind of stuff and learned a lot. And it got me thinking of like, you know what? I don't want to work $15 an hour for the rest of my life doing this. this is hard labor work. I want to own a business that does this. And so I was still in school, in college, still was applying for jobs, couldn't get a job. Got this job after my unemployment ran out. And then was like, you know what, I can do this. So in 2014, while I was in college, unemployed, I had my fourth child. And so now I had a little bit stressor, and I have 4 kids. And so, we have the whole duties of, being a father, and some of the stuff is still lingering from my military past. And I didn't quite 100% take care of it, but I was like, you know what, I have to man up, and I have to really just provide for my family. In short term, I just had short fuses. I was short fused, mad all the time, and then I kind of got past that, and my wife actually helped me out with that. But it was kind of that day late, dollar short type of deal. She stayed with me till she just, was not in love with me anymore, and just seeing too much ugliness. I was never abusive, never nothing like that, never verbally abusive. I was just, mad at myself more than anything else, and self-doubted, didn't really have a lot of confidence. And then I was like, you know what? And so in 2015, we started having some issues, but we're working through it. I was like, well, I'm going to open up a construction business. And I did. So I opened up a construction business with my father-in-law, and he was the expert in construction. And he goes, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about concrete. I was like, great. So I'm still in college. I just started this construction business, and I have never opened a business in my life. And so here I am, and I took business school, but I got my degree in business, but business degree does not teach you how to open a business, how to start a business, the process of everything like that. That's almost kind of like an outward, education you need to really get. Business degree will teach you how to run a business that's already been established. So I went on this whole new learning path, opened a business. Me and him started doing it. During the mornings, I would go in, work, do the concrete. Afternoon, go bid some jobs, and then also work on the business. And then in the meantime, trying to squeeze in college and family time. So now I have this already strained relationship with my wife. And if people who are in construction, they work from 5 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. It's just the industry of the beast. And that's any business you really kind of go into that you start out. So we started going down it. Then me and my wife separated in 2017. I brought on a business partner in 2000, another business partner in 2016. So we had 3 business partners, and he was teaching me a different element about the business. He was teaching me the estimating side of the business, project management side of the business, because I didn't know that. Now I could go do a home project. I can estimate a home project. I can pretty much PM, project manage a home project, but I didn't know how to do commercial. And this is what this guy was an expert at. So brought him in, started cooking, and going and getting bigger jobs, teaching me kind of how to project manage, how to estimate. And 2017, me and my wife separated and filed for divorce. And then 2018, my father-in-law came down with lung cancer. And eventually, this is kind of where I saw a different side of a business partner. And he saw that, and we knew that he was eventually going to have to be left, taken out of the business, because he can no longer serve a role in it. And being a new functioning business, I was dealt with the task of, how am I going to maintain my father-in-law getting paid? Because he's getting Medicare, and we live in Southern California, San Diego, and make sure he can, have some livings while he's still here, have money. And it was a very difficult balance for me to try to navigate. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get paid this month. He is, and then, my business partner was squeezing more stuff down on me that I didn't even know and stuff he wasn't teaching me. And so it was a very weird dynamic in 2018. It was just like, hey man, I need you to know 25 years worth of experience in 2 months. I mean, tell me have you ever met somebody who could do that?
Yeah.
I
That's
never
hard.
have. It was
That's
different.
crazy. That's crazy. So
So,
you go from like an ankle that's rolled
yep.
to a medical separation to, hey, we're going to go to college. Haven't dealt with some of the stuff that I was dealing with. A couple botched surgeries. I'm wrapping it up for some of the other listeners out there in MTA world. And then we've got a business partner, one of which is pretty much on his deathbed, and the other one is expecting a little too much. Which one was more strain?
Man, that's a great question. Both of them were. I was kind of stuck in the middle because the time that this was happening, the business partner that we took on was also trying to navigate me out of the business. And I didn't know it quite at the time. It wasn't until early 2019. Yeah, early 2019. And he was trying to get my ex-father-in-law at this point. And the reason why my father-in-law kept wanting to be my business partner wasn't because the knowledge. It's because of the integrity that I have. How I carried myself. One, he could trust. He didn't have to worry about, man, this guy's going to go F this thing up and just blow it up and, not be able to run it because of what I have portrayed in the last couple of years of just working and grinding. So, but my other business partner was just, he's pure evil, man. Really is. Because I'll tell you later, this was not his first go around. He's a freaking cowboy, man. And he was like, listen, if you don't, and at first I was like, look, I'm not signing over. I'm not giving you all of his shares in the company. I go, because this didn't start with you. It started with me, started with him. I go, I'll give you half the shares. I'll take half the shares. I think that's an equitable split. You still own a decent chunk of the company, and I maintain a decent chunk of the company because that was the overall game plan. And he's like, nope, I'm going to wrap it up. Well, I didn't really understand it this time until later. He was also chipping at me as a person and my confidence. My confidence wasn't as high anyway because what's already happened, right? Now I'm divorced. Now I've got my father-in-law who's on his deathbed. I'm still dealing with a little bit of residual issues. So my confidence wasn't as high. And he just kept chipping away. And so when I was like, you know what, fine. Because I was now scared I was going to lose the business that I have started and built to now a multi-million-dollar business. And if I didn't do that, then he was going to leave. And I was like, man, this is going to fold up because I didn't have that confidence in myself. So we go into it. He gets his shares now for 51%. He owns 49%. And it just kind of, it starts going kind of all right, but there's that lingering uneasy feeling, but we're making a lot of money. And so I have this just drive to make this bad relationship work because of greed, because of money. So I let greed override my decisions of what I knew was probably not going to work out and what was wrong. So, what happened is we ended up getting a line of credit for our business. And in lieu of doing that, we had to sign the deeds to our houses over and put them on the line of credit. So we did. Things were going good. And then we get into kind of another blowout freaking argument in 2020. And it was like, it got pretty heated. And at the time, I was like, the time it got heated, I was like, listen, dude, I'm going to take a week off. I need to go cool my jets because some of the shit that you have said is just way, way beyond that. We need to question ourselves if this is repairable at this point. And kind of at that point, I've already know that I'm not going to be this guy's business partner for long. Now I am trying to develop an exit strategy for myself, whether that was to sell my business to him or to buy him out. So So as I took the week off, I kind of started developing this plan. And this kind of whole time, about mid 2019, I started getting my confidence back because I started getting help. I started going to therapy. I started doing everything I really needed to do to work on myself and deep dive into myself. And I did. And then I went to group classes, the whole 9 yards, and started really got this confidence back. I'm like, I don't really need him to be successful. I could be successful on my own. I just have to have the confidence to do it. I know the knowledge. I know what I need to do. So started developing a plan. Well, anyway, he started at that point, he started kind of developing his own plan, transitioning out, which was fine. If in me, I'm a kind of up to your, not in your face kind of guy, but like, hey, listen, this isn't working out. I'll come to you. I'll talk to you. Straight up, just being a man about it. Well, he went beyond my back and started another corporation, another veteran-owned construction business. And then from there, he went and kind of started mismanaging his projects, and all the projects started losing money because of mismanagement, and started using resources out of our company into his new company. And I didn't find out that he actually started another company until October 8th of 2020. So now we're dealing with not only the pandemic, and all the new restrictions with pandemic, which created a freaking monster of just, people not wanting to work, trying to find labor, trying to find people. They could be on unemployment. They're making more than on unemployment than they were, working a job. So it was a very, I have COVID. I don't know. I think all my workers or lower level workers all came down with COVID like 27 times. So I mean, I guarantee they hold the record. Yeah. And then that was my really introduction. And so the business collapsed straight up. It was insolvent. Nothing I could do about it. I was on my way to think I was become a millionaire, and we were. The books were pretty solid, that I thought. And just a matter of weeks, man, I was $700,000 in debt. And everything just came crumbling down. I mean, it was like one day, it was like September 3rd. And my office manager was like, hey, she didn't even say anything. I knew she was nervous with kind of the business, what's going on. We were running it out of my house. He was over in his house. And I was like, yeah, we're going to be fine. Just, but she's just a nervous person. And so she started having some mental issues. And I'm over here trying to coach her through it. And he was putting a lot of pressure on her, and kind of essentially blaming her a little bit, which she was at fault for a few things. But ultimately, I rested the responsibility on my shoulders because I was like, well, I'm leading her, but I'm over here just every day I'm trying to put fires out. I got my accounts closing. I've got this closing. I'm trying to get this. And I need materials for this job. We still have this job going on. Just the massive amount of stress that was just kind of going on. And she, I go to a meeting to go look at another job. And she leaves about 15 minutes afterwards and drops a note on my desk, and pretty much just it took stress leave, which I didn't even know that was a fucking thing. Well, stress leave, because I was like, well, if I would have known that, I would have taken that too. Like, yeah. And we were a union shop. So if you have ever dealt with union payroll, it is a nightmare. It is a complete nightmare, which I did it, but we just transitioned to a new system about 2 months ago. And so I wasn't 100% up to speed on everything that we had to do because she was taking care of it. And I was project management, estimate. And also I was the fucking fire brigade. I was putting out every single fire.
Yeah. Did you end up losing the house? I mean,
yeah.
Golly.
Yeah. So, that's actually more recent, because I fought it for 2 years trying to keep this thing. And now I was like, you know what? This is the last piece of the puzzle. It's a material thing. You can get back. I lost my cars. I lost my trucks. I lost my trailer. I lost everything. I lost everything. I lost freaking bank account to zero. I mean, all gone, almost homeless,
Wow.
almost homeless. And so I just, so, went, just losing it. And it's the last piece of puzzle. Losing the house it's not the house what really killed me. It was my kids that really killed me, because now I got my little kids looking at me going, Dad, can you provide for us? And that's the psychology that was playing in my mind, is like, I have my little kids, my little son going, I don't feel safe. I don't feel, not that his security is in question, but he's like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? How are we going to freaking, live, and that's what hurt me the most. That idea is what really rocked me. Also in 2020, I started another business, and it was a solar cleaning business, because the construction business was 2021. Solar cleaning, because the construction business was done. It was done. It completely over, unsalvageable. Can't pull out of it. And honestly, I lost my love for it. The lust, the love, the dream, gone. Just completely shattered, man. This guy shattered my dream. And every time I just think about construction, I'm just like sick. So I actually kind of opened up another construction business, but with another partner. And about a month into it, I told him, hey guys, I'm going to be straight up. I can't do this anymore. I don't have the love for it, man. I don't wake up enjoying this. I'm in just a deep, dark place. I got to go do my own thing. So instead of go getting a job, I opened up another business. It was a solar cleaning business. So I was like, all right, here we go. I don't know nothing about solar cleaning. And by the fact, I didn't know anything about construction, really. My dad owned a construction business. Just because your dad owns something doesn't mean I know it. And I didn't know lick really about it. And we did concrete. And I've never done concrete in my life until I opened a concrete business. So then I started this solar business and started rock and roll, because I'm a networker. I can network. I love networking. I love talking to people. I love my community. Start building the book of business. Well, freaking about 2 months into it, 3 months into it, I go get this tattoo on my back to cover up, and tattoo artist is like, hey, I would love to take your money. However, you should probably go get these spots on your back checked out. And I walk out of there like, what the fuck's this guy know? And then I started thinking about it like, well, he does look at skin all day. Okay, maybe end up having cancerous spots on my fucking back. And so Doc's like, you got to get the cut out, and you probably should not be doing that job anymore. And I was like, oh my God, just, okay, well, what am I going to do with this crap now that I just bought everything I just, started? And it's starting to be a healthy, viable business. Well, I had two people coming to me in the same week, because I started networking. I kept networking, because I was like, all right. And then I knew a guy who did it, but he was struggling. So I kind of gave him some of my business, and I just took a percentage off the top of it. Kind of like brokering it, really, since I couldn't do it anymore. They cut it out. They're like, you're done for 8 weeks. Don't touch anything, and it's in the middle of my back. So I did. And then one guy he's another vet, said, hey, I want to buy your business. I was like, sweet. So we came to terms, sold the business. And then I was just kind of stuck. I was just like, what am I going to do with my life now? And I was drinking Starbucks. And I got this epiphany of like, you know what? I'm just going to, how hard is it to, start a coffee business? And I literally, no shit. All right, Google, here we come. How to start a coffee business. And then started the coffee business.
Wow, that is cool, man. You know what? I guess I hear this like repeating theme. You don't really necessarily have that fear of failure. You just go for it, right? Like you just say, I'm gonna have this idea. I'm gonna go start. How many businesses now? We're on our 4th business so far.
Yeah, 4th business.
I mean, that's commendable. It doesn't mean it's always going to work out. And I guess what I'm trying to pull out of this is a little bit of wisdom for the listeners out there. It doesn't always end up working out, but you've learned just an amassed amount of just knowledge and wisdom from beginning to end.
And, you know, Jeremy, what is amazing to tie the threads together is, so dude hits the beach and burns the boats behind him every single time he takes the beach, right? But he started off the conversation circling the drain of, I got no confidence and what the hell am I going to do now? Right. And I mean, that's the reason I didn't take the Navy surgery. Like, hey, 30% chance of success. I'm like, hey, doc, you're framing that wrong. What about the 70% chance this doesn't work? Like, can we talk about that part? Well, you do the surgery or you get out. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? And so I could have been Dustin, right? So I think what's amazing is, dude, as many times as you've remade yourself, totally disparate businesses, right? Burning the boats behind you. But brother, that's confident, like 10 feet tall, bulletproof, and eating glass at breakfast confident, dude.
Well, it took, so my core got shaken twice, actually, the last couple of years. In 2021, the cancer thing started happening, right? Well, now I have this construction business that's insolvent. If you've ever had a business that failed, so I don't consider the construction business as a failure, because it was a success. The partnership was a failure, you know, and I failed my due diligence of, you know, I have to take some ownership of that too. You know, that's not all 100% him, you know, even though the dude's a piece of shit, I got to take some ownership of it too. You know, he's done this, but the guy's done it a couple of times now. I didn't learn that till later on in my little bit more investigating, until stuff started coming out of the woodwork. But then all the lawsuits started happening. And man, if you ever been, I don't know if you've ever been sued, man, but that is a stressful deal, man, because you're over here like, what is this? So then you hire a lawyer, right? Easy day. You just hire a lawyer, boom. You know, then you realize how much lawyers really do cost every time you talk to them. You know, and then it was, I think we had, oh man, like
lawyer therapy. That's what my business attorney calls it.
Lawyer
Lawyer fee therapy. That's what he calls it. And I soak you in it.
Oh man. Well, that's why I ran out of money. You know, one, trying to live, two, starting business adventures, and three, just I didn't really realize how much lawyers cost me. It was just like, boom, gone. And then I started have to be my own lawyer in this. And now I have this overwhelming thing of like, I have massive amount of debt. I have $700,000 that I owe. And they're calling me constantly, ding, ding, ding. Every third call was some person that says I owe money. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm trying to pay people who I know, and, you know, and trying to, you know, do the right thing. If there's no money, there's no money.
That's right.
I can't help that, you know, and I'm profusely sorry of this. This is not my character. This is not my intention. So then it was inevitable. BK, bankruptcy. So then I got that stressor. And then my son, my oldest son, gets addicted to drugs. And he's going in his senior year. And 4.3 GPA, and just start saying, fuck it. You know, I'm not going to college. I'm not this. I don't know why I need high school, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, listen, dude, take it from somebody who knows. I did not graduate high school. You know, I had to try harder than everybody else because I didn't get the basic knowledge, you know, or some of it. You know, I was part of a No Child Left Behind kind of 80s atmosphere where I really should have been, I was held back in the first grade. Probably should have been held back again in second, just to get me maturity behind me. And I also had ADHD. I also still have ADHD. And so I'm trying to just relate to him like, look, dude, I'm just trying to get you to get your life a little bit easier. Get your high school diploma, man. That's all. After that, the world is yours, man. You don't have to go to college if you don't want to. Because at this time I was like, guys, go to college, just get it out of the way, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm just like, dude, just graduate high school. Well, he goes off deep end, and I've been kind of raising the kids for like the last 4 years, kind of on my own because their mom has some drug issues. And so that's another background thing that I'm kind of dealing with. But, it's like, shit, man, it's life, man. You know what I mean? You got the plate, you just got to eat whatever's on the plate, man. And it's going to get refilled with something, man. But as soon as you get something else off, your plate gets a little less full. So I'm trying to deal with all this stuff. And then eventually he's stealing from me, not using drugs or using drugs and just not doing his thing. And I told him, I have these 3 other kids I have to look out for. And, he's kind of bringing it around. And I was like, dude, you got to go. You can't stay at my house anymore. Like, I am so sorry, dude. I feel like I'm failing you as a father. But I can't do anything for you. You will not go to rehab. You will not go to counseling. You will not go to school. You won't go get a job. You won't do anything. And you keep stealing my shit. And so I was like, you got to go, man.
Tough
And
day.
this is on 2020. Say what?
Yeah, tough day. I mean, that's got to rack up there with like lifetime hard days. When they say tough love, it's tough on the kid, but I think it's got to be tougher on the parent too.
Oh, it still hurts. I mean, that's not a wound that is healable because it's still there. It's like, how do you go and navigate this now new normal in your life and your son is not a part of it? Your first child, that first baby that you're like, I have no idea what the hell I'm going to be doing as a father. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, now I'm really responsible for this guy. And now he's just gone. And I had to come to the terms of like, he might die, so now I'm already preemptively saying my goodbye because I have no idea what's going to happen to him. And he's still trying to find his own path to this day. And then a month after that, my daughter was dealing with some stuff, my oldest daughter. And I was trying to be there as much as I possibly could. But you gotta understand, like, everything that was going on was just a massive amount of stress. Every day you wake up and you're like, holy crap. Like, what is today going to bring? And it's not a good day of like, hey, this should be fun. Like, it should be a new activity, like probably being like a law enforcement officer, you're like, you don't know what you're going to get into. This is going to be a good day, right? Well, this is, what am I going to, who's going to call me now and need money? Who's going to call me and want this? What's going to happen today? What new, thing's going to come up? So I pop in. So I'm like, all right, well, woke up that morning and my daughter's in her room throwing up. And I'm like, hey, sweetie, you all right? You want me to go get something? Because now I just think she has a flu. And she's like, no, I'm good. So I'll walk away, kind of let her, and she has a bowl and stuff. And I'm like, all right. And, she's throwing up. And I'm like, hey, are you, like, what's going on? Are you fine? Like, because it's a lot. But I was like, think she has a flu. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go get you some things. And she's like, well, it's not going to help me. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean it's not going to help you? She goes, I took about 300 Tylenols last night. And I was like, I was floored. I was like, why the fuck would you do that? She's like, I don't want to live anymore. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I was like, all right. So I immediately, I slammed the door. I was like, what in the fuck? And I grabbed the phone and I called 911. I'm like, get an ambulance here now. My daughter's attempted suicide. She took about 300 pills of Tylenol or Motrin, whatever it was. And she's just confusely just throwing up. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm in the room with her. She's throwing up, fire department gets there. She kind of goes in and out of consciousness a little bit, and I'm like, I'm about to lose my oldest daughter here. And so she goes to the hospital. We get to the hospital. They start doing, charcoal pumping. I think they pumped her stomach too. I had to leave the room for some of it. And so she, started, getting better. So now she's talking, just sore. And her mom shows up and just strung the fuck out. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, and I can't really see her at this point because my mom did something similar to me when I was growing up. It was just me and my father. And so now I'm just like so sick of just looking at this person, and going, fuck, you are a big part of the reason why this is happening, because she does not feel loved by a party, and I'm like, and then I'm over here like, man, what could I have done better? I know I was going through my shit, but holy crap. Like, so my daughter attempted suicide. She didn't want to live anymore. There were some other things that happened that I'm not going to discuss, but so her mom was in there, and a takeaway story fucking just baffled me was, while my daughter's in there, she started telling her about like how she used drugs and how she took LSD and she liked it. This is her mom talking to her 15-year-old daughter at the time. And I'm just like, there's nothing I can do legally, nothing I can do. In California, if you try to take one, kid away from the parent, it's almost impossible. Unless you're the dad, then you can, that's probably an easier task. So deal with that and get her into, therapy, the whole 9 yards. And at this point, I did not want to live anymore. I was ready to take my own life. I was done. I looked at, I was so done. I wrote 5 letters to 5 most important people to me in my life. And I went to visit one of them and just had just this conversation with him, nothing big. Was just talking. But it was at the end of it is kind of when I said my goodbye. I told him, I was like, hey, dude, it's been freaking great knowing you, dude. I love you, man. And he's like, looks at me like, what the fuck do you mean by that? And I go, I can't do this anymore. God has put in too much on my shoulders that I can no longer stand up. I am done. I'm completely done. I'm a lousy father. I'm a terrible partner. And I guess I can't fucking do this shit anymore. I have too much on my plate and I can't see a way out of this. And that's when he was just like, he's like, dude, he's like, what's one thing you look forward to? We talked about some other things. But what really kind of brought me to was just like, what's one thing that you look forward to? And I was like, dude, I don't look forward to anything anymore. I go, I don't even want to wake up. You understand? Every time I go to bed, I'm going to bed with the hopes I don't wake up the next morning because I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. And so he's like, well, what's one thing that kind of motivates you? And I was like, I don't fucking know, man. I go, I love my fucking coffee in the morning. I go, that's one good thing I have in my morning that I just sip on. He goes, all right, we're going to work on that. We're going to build from that. I was like, what? I was like, you're high as hell, dude. I was like, I need more than that. He goes, yeah, you do, but we're going to start there. And no shit, that's what I did every morning. And just now what he was doing is mindset. He's transitioning my mindset. Instead of being positive or negative in the morning, is just that one positive thing in the morning. Boom. And did it. And did that for 21 days. But I mean, for forever, really, since then. And it just started seeing more positives. And then he helped me. He was just like, all right, man, we're going to take this massive pile. He goes, what can you control? He goes, all right, well, that goes over there because that doesn't even matter. Is what it is. And then he goes, we're going to take this and start knocking the little nuggets off, man. And from then and then, it was like, okay, well, this isn't so bad. So, but when you're in that mindset and that depression, it's a killer.
What a wonderful friend.
Yeah, he actually did it twice, it's funny because of how that friend really just, that one guy, I mean, I don't know what I would have probably killed myself if he wasn't in my life. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
then a girlfriend I had at the time, I started questioning God. I started really believing in Christianity and if there really is a God. And, she's Christian. And I told her, I was like, hey, I kind of need to talk to you. And she's like, okay, what do you need to talk to me about? And we're at my kitchen table. I go, I don't really think I believe in God anymore. And she's like, what? She's like, why? I go, I don't think God would do this to somebody. I go, this is too much. And she's like, no, God would do this because he knew you could handle it. I go, but I almost didn't handle it. I almost, probably didn't go see God. I was going to go see the devil, and she's like, and she just stopped right there. She's like, she didn't know what to answer. She didn't know how to answer that. And I was like, yeah, I go, I don't know if I believe in God. So we started talking about something else. No shit. 5 minutes after, I get a Facebook messenger from the pastor of my church. And he goes, Dustin, you've been on my mind. We should go have lunch.
Wow.
As I'm sitting there with my girlfriend, and I look at my phone, I started laughing. I was like, I just started laughing. I was like, she's like, what? I was like, well, I guess God uses Messenger too. And she's like, what? Get the hell out of here. I was like, no kidding. No freaking kidding. And yeah, went out to have lunch.
That's too
with
cool.
the pastor and started talking to him about it. And at this time, I was having a hard time getting my daughter into a regular therapy because like mental health in teens is a wildly huge epidemic. And I had no idea until my daughter went to the hospital, and I was just mind blown. And I was like, oh my God. And start calling around. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to get in 6 months later. I was like, are you kidding me? 6 months? I was like, 6 months, she could be dead. Like, this is wild. So I told her, I was just like, well, I don't know what we're going to do. So I ended up talking to my pastor. He goes, hey, I got somebody, and got her in there and did the therapy. And she's doing better. But mental health is I like to look at it as a hot rod. When that hot rod is running and it's finally tuned and it's just purring down the road, it's great. But you still got to wash it. Still got to change. You got to still put air in the tires. You got to change the oil. You got to do maintenance to it, man. That's our mental health. We have to do maintenance to it constantly to keep it, whether that's exercise, therapy. I mean, you name it, whatever your vice is to make you, healthy and keep thinking positively, you have to do that, and so that's why I was trying to find her that tune, like, hey, what are you going to do? Like, what do you want to do? And she struggles with that, what her role is. And I'm like, well, you're only 16. You don't have to define that right now. I go, let's just define you and think about you. Let's what are you wanting? You know what I mean? And I go, look, life isn't always an evolving, just evolving freaking thing. You're going to love this one thing now, but in 10 years, you might not even care for it. It might not even be a thing. I go, but what makes you happy right now? What gets you out of that mindset of just thinking negatively? Like, let's start there. I go, let's start working on your diet, because then she came out, she's like, I'm bulimic. I was like, all right, we need to start, let's work on that. But I go, first, start small. Let's just go to therapy once a week, and that's it. And then we'll build other things into it. And then, so she's doing better. She's also kind of like her dad, who does not like school. And I'm like, if you would just listen about the road I went down, it's a lot harder, kids. I'm telling you, a lot easier if you just get it done now. But, I got a battle where I can win them. And, one thing I kind of did teach her is to be independent. And I didn't realize that was a great thing until she started finding me like, nope, Dad, I want to be independent, and I'm fighting you on this. And I was like, damn, if you just listen, but she's hard headed, but she's doing good. She has a job. She's working it. She'd rather be working than being in school. So, yeah.
So now this, and obviously, that kind of moves us over towards like the coffee. So talk to me about this coffee venture.
Yeah. So
As we both take a long drink out of our coffee mugs at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
coffee is I love it. I love coffee. I mean, one, you know, it's it's healthier than an energy drink, right? It's a natural thing, you know. But just that taste, man, just gets me. And so I started this coffee. It wasn't even called, it's called Red, White, and Badass Brew. And it wasn't even called that when I initially started it. It was called Basic Badass Coffee Company. Because I love pumpkin spice. So I'm just a pumpkin spice guy, man. I used to make these stupid ass videos about pumpkin spice. And and I'd eat pumpkin spice things. And then I did it on YouTube, and I did it as a pun. And so I started this little Facebook group, and I was like, basic badass instead of basic bitch. I call myself basic badass. And I did it as a pun because my friends will all call me basic bitch because I like pumpkin spice. So
That's why he keeps his gun so big, Jeremy, so he can kick their ass when they make fun of him.
That's it. 12 push-ups a day will get you these guns. Just buy my workout routine, $12.99 a month.
And 9 cups of pumpkin spice coffee.
And you need a Twinkie, pumpkin spice Twinkie.
So yeah, Jeremy, I'm so excited, man. So we're going to do a couple shows with Dustin, and he is going to bring, and I got to get you a sample. Dustin, tell my man JB here, Texas bourbon guy, tell him what your favorite flavor of badass coffee is.
It's called Whiskey Business. It's a vanilla, caramel, and a whiskey flavor coffee. It is my number one seller, hands down. I had no idea when this thing was created that it would go in that direction. It just everybody loves the Whiskey Business. You know,
what a combo.
Like, oh, yeah,
that's a great flavor of like palate combo. I think sounds great.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, it's amazing. It's going to go by soup. Yes, you're going to get it. And then, so I started this, and then eventually found myself kind of getting a letter of saying, hey, you're infringing on my name, when I had the Basic Badass Coffee Company. I was like, oh shit. I was like, and at first my initial reaction was, kind of like that military bravado. It was like, all right, I want to Xerox my ass with some lips on it and say, kiss it. But then I kind of thought about it. I was like, you know what? It is a little bit close. I'll give you that. And then that's how I came out with Red, White, and Badass Brew. I was like, well, this is a name. This actually portrays who I am and, my customer basis. So that's how I just kind of came up with the name. So change. So it was like, you know what? You guys did a blessing in disguise. Thank you. Because it wouldn't be where it is, man. But Whiskey Business is by far the number one selling one. It's 10-1. Outsells everything else 10-1, man. Really does.
Sounds good. I'm excited.
So, yeah. So it's an online business, and I do wholesale. So I got a couple of coffee shops that carry my coffee, and keep popping up new shops who carry it, on a weekly basis. It seems like now.
Yeah.
So
that is too cool. So that's now how you spend most of your time and working on this business, or do you still have a bunch of other ventures?
No. Well, I have one other venture. I have a show. It's called Coffee Conversations and Badasses. And we tell heroic stories of people who overcome mental health, addictions, relationships, and business struggles, man. Yeah, it's an important thing. So I take kind of what I've gone through in my short life here, and like, wow, if I've gone through this, I know other people have gone through this.
Short life. Gee whiz, man, you've accomplished more than most people are in their entire lifetime in a shorter span. It's like Job from the Bible. I mean, like hopefully you're now restored twice over.
Yeah. I almost again took my life when I found out I'm losing my house. Like, my house is going to be gone, and this was like almost a year ago. And I thought I was in a better place, and it just fucking crumbled me because my kids just looked at me just like, Dad, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And I was like, wow, I'm just a worthless piece of shit. You know what? I'm no longer an asset. I'm a liability. I went back to that same frame, you know. I was like, wow. And took took some pills and grabbed my gun, and there was no letters this time. It was like, nope, there's none needed. Went to bed, locked up my house, barricaded it up, and called my kids and said, hey guys, just, kind of talk to them, chat with them, say, I love you. You don't know how in tune your kids are to really what is going on until they're standing up for you for something, or they come to you and say, that's not right. That's not normal. So my youngest daughter was like, went to her mom and goes, I don't know what's going on, but dad didn't quite seem normal, and this is after I took him some pills, and, and I was like some oxycodone, because, I wanted to numb myself up. And she's like, okay. So she comes to my house, my truck's in the driveway, and all lights are off. And she's like, that's weird. Because usually, that's just a weird instance that happens. So then she messages my best friend, the same guy that saved my life the first time, and goes, hey, have you talked to Dustin in a couple of days? And, Kaylee thought it was kind of weird that, he called her and was just kind of weird. And then I went to his house. His truck's there, but lights are completely off. And so he rushes over my house, goes into my backyard. My neighbor's a cop, and sees him. Was like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Gun out on him. He's just like, hey, dude, I'm just here. I'm Dustin's, best friend. And really just was like, hey, I'm trying to check on Dustin. Haven't heard of him. And so they went to my backyard. Well, my dog, they're trying to shine this floodlight in my bedroom. And my dog, I guess, was opening up the curtain, kind of, but not opening up the curtain, just kind of like splashing it open. Well, they saw me in the bed, slumped over with a gun in my hand. And I was like, I'm just out. I'm completely fucking out. And so they call the cops, whole 9 yards. Well, I wake up because, he's shining the bright ass light in my eyes. And I just wake up out of this fog, and I'm holding the gun still. And I kind of meander out of bed, just kind of stumbling out of bed, went to the sliding glass door, opened it up, and my best friend is standing there. And he goes, hey, like, you okay? I was like, no, I'm not. He goes, well, put your fucking gun away, because the cops are here. I was like, why the fucking cops are here? He goes, dude, we were worried, man. He goes, and now I'm really worried. I was like, okay. So he goes over, helps him put the gun up, shut the safe. And at this time, I was like, oh shit. Like, I'm about to lose my whole fucking rights. I'm about to go, I don't know where I'm going to go, and the cops, were like, oh, well, we have to see him. We have to check on him. And so I was like, nope. I just, I'm really tired, and nothing's wrong with me. And he comes inside my house. He lays in bed with me, and I fall asleep. I pass out again, wake up in the morning, and he's like, hey, dude, we got to get you some help. So you don't have an option. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't. And from that point, man, I went and in therapy, dude, went back to therapy. And I was like, here's this fucking hot rod that needs a tune-up, where I should have been in therapy this whole time, or something of that fact, to make sure that didn't happen. I didn't really know how weak I was at the time, and how, not really losing my house, but losing that feeling with my kids of like, oh my God, like my kids just, they don't know. Now they're scared. But now,
it's like an anchor thought, I mean, whatever that foundational position that you took in your mind, it was built around the house is stability for the kids. And that stability for the kids was like, that's one thing that made you feel whole, and twice pulled out the rug and just absolutely crushes the cards.
Yeah. Crushes it. Yep. And so, I just, now it's just like, well, no, you know what? It's love. It's my relationship with them that makes them feel safe, secure. It's not this house. You know what I mean? It's nothing. It's not the car that you drive. It's that relationship you build with them. is what makes them feel safe and secure. It's that communication you develop with them, and say, hey, look, this is part of life. Sometimes we go through some hard times, but this is what makes it stronger. And then focus some of the attention onto them and to making sure they're okay. And so that's what I learned and was like, okay, well, you know what? It's always evolving. Material shit. Never do something that's going to be a permanent solution for a temporary problem. Ever. Unless it's good. But taking your own life is not an answer at all at any point in your life. And this is kind of an endeavor that the show that what we're doing is kind of like, why do we open this door? Why is that door open? Why do we sit there and say we have this bad thing going on in life? Why is taking our life an answer ever?
Oh, yeah, it's a trap. I mean, you get stuck in a trap of hopelessness, right? That the next day is not going to be any better. The next one may be even worse, and then it just keeps spiraling downward. But I'm glad. I'm thankful, one, that you had a support of a friend, but two, that you found a love for coffee and you turn that into something that helps you want to wake up every morning. How cool is
Oh
that?
yeah. I get jazzed. Now, I get jazzed every time I drink it. Actually, I don't have my coffee in here now. It's in the next room, but I was like, you know what? I should probably drink some water for this because I'll probably be talking.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it's good. It's good, man. I love coffee, dude. I love helping people out. And that is just two things that one, coffee does, man. Coffee brings conversations. You can learn a lot about somebody, go and have a cup of coffee with them.
Oh yeah.
And then just the transitions and some of the struggles, man. And I want to help out as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah.
With this. And it's not just geared towards military, man. This is also geared towards civilians because they're having the same issues.
I couldn't agree more. I thank you for being on the show. I think there's a ton covered and a ton to learn. I feel like the entrepreneurial spirit is still strong. Obviously, you're constantly building and taking risks and moving forward. But the fact that you recovered twice from what would be, maybe have killed somebody else, you're coming out stronger on the other side of it. So I think that's really cool. Doc, what else? What else you got?
I just think it's the first time I met Dustin, we were just having a chat. And there might have been a bourbon or two involved, but we were having a chat about, well, dude, tell me about you now, and what are you doing now? And so you hear all this struggle and, like one chapter after another, like, dude, this movie's not going to end well at all, is it? Like, but he keeps bouncing back. And then he's like, yeah, man. So I started this company and I'm going to hire vets and I'm working with vets and I'm working with this organization and that organization, this other organization. And then I got this podcast. And like unlike us, JB, where we bolted the podcast on years later, he said, hey, I'm going to run them concurrently because one of them's fueled by coffee, which is my day job. Right. So I just found not only his resilience was absolutely just remarkably stunning, right? Like I thought I'd had a bad day once in a while or something, right? Like it gives you a whole new perspective. But he's going to help other people out of it, right? It's that selfless service. And, it's one of the things we find too, JB. I hear, people come up in airports and keynotes and stuff all the time and say, hey, man, you guys are constantly talking about other people's success and you guys are constantly giving back. And that's, every day I come to work at SPM, that's cathartic for me, dude. Helping somebody else. I'm not saying you can't dwell on yourself, but it's tough to focus on yourself when you're helping somebody else.
Yeah.
There to focus. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it can help you stop swirling the drain, man. You're still stuck in a bathtub full of dirty water. Like you still got to get a way out of that, but at least you're not at the drain circle and stage anymore. Right.
It's that mindset, Doc. It really is, guys. It's that mindset. You could stay stuck in that dirty water, man. Or, hey, let's put some clean water in there. Let's find a way to put some clean water. It's all about that mindset.
We can
You know,
throw a
you're-
tennis ball in here. Let's do some water polo. I mean, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
mindset, dude. Right?
Yeah, it is. It really is, you know, and don't be afraid to shoot for the stars. Don't be afraid to fail. You know, that's what really actually motivates me is failure really motivates me. Like, am I scared to fail? Hell yeah, I am. That's why I want to do it. You know, it's just like showing the world, like, yeah, I get it. If you fail, so the fuck what? Guess what? Boom, on to the next one. You know,
You know, I don't know who to attribute it to, but I heard a quote one time and I've co-opted it since. It's been years now, but when you either succeed or you learn. Take failure out of your vocabulary. Yes, so it didn't work, but now you got some lessons learned on how you make it work next time. You know what I mean? And you know, the old adage, like, it's not how many times you get hit, it's how many times you get up. So the Rocky Balboa, Edison, hey man, I figured out 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. I mean, you know, not philosophers, one of them, but they're all saying the same thing, dude. Like, and I think you really drove it home, Dustin. Hey man, life's equal opportunity shitter on her, man. Like, everybody's going to get some of this bullshit that life has to hand out, right? It's going to be pretty dark at times. But that way, like Hemingway says, the cracks, though, is where the sunshine comes through when the sun comes up. You know what I mean? So I just think as long as you set your jaw to realize, man, you're going to get shit on like everybody else, equal opportunity. But how do you respond to it? When I was a weaker man, I had some different answers. Now that I'm on the other side of those situations, you know, you were talking about your kids, like, hey man, look, here's what your old man tried, brother. And here's how it ended up. I don't know what it's going to end up if you do it your way. It sounds similar. Or you want to do it this other way, maybe, and it's not similar. So you can probably expect some other results. You know, maybe they learn from you, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're trying to stick them with the story, you know, trying to get them to like see the light, but they have their own way of thinking that they're going to do it. Like, you try to instill into them this to the right way, because we think we know everything. You know, what kids has taught me is just like, they're going to set on a path that they want to go on, you know, and I no longer tell them what the right way is. I just ask them, how do I contribute to get you where you want to go? Shit, you don't want to go to college? Cool, man. You know, now my two younger ones, I'm like, I don't give a shit. You guys don't want to go to college. I am not baking you on that cake on you have to go to college. You know, I'm like, but again, tell them, I'm like, you know, if I had to do life over again, I would do a couple of things different. I wouldn't do much. I love the life that I lived. Yeah, the hard road, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. It just built me into the character that I am today. I go to college. After college, go see the world. Go vagabond around the world. Go do many jobs around the world and get that experience. That's one thing I wish I would have done differently. And that's kind of why I instilled to him. I go, because then you're going to go around, you're going to be cultured, and you're going to see the world that most people do not get to see. You know, and you're going to live a life and experience more than anything else. And that will give you a lot of riches in your life. And it will probably guide you down a path that you really want to go. And you can start building your career at 30. You don't have to build it at 22, 23, 24.
Sounds like Red, White, and Badass Brew needs to go do a road show around the world.
I'm down. I'm down. I'm down. RV it just around the US and then internationally, you know.
Yeah, wrap the RV with your logo and then serve coffee out of the side during the day, do your show at night, and hit another location.
That actually doesn't sound like a half bad life, man. It really doesn't.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. We're gonna hit the road. I do RV and I'm gonna hit the road next week, and we're gonna do a big loop through Tennessee and around South Carolina and back around. So it's gonna be fun.
No kidding. And for what? Just to go? Just to
go.
Is there a certain point you're going?
Yeah, we're going to go hit the Smoky Mountains. Then we're going to hit Williamsburg up in Virginia. And then we're going to do Outer Banks. And then we're going to come down back through probably Arkansas, maybe Hot Springs again.
Nice. That actually sounds like a really great road trip.
We try to do it once a year just to where we can kind of unplug a little bit, just we work from the road, but ultimately just get the kids out and see some of the beautiful country that's out there.
That, people need to take note of that too. Make sure your kids are unplugging from technology, because that is, I think, a big mental standpoint, man. One thing that my daughter, I learned from my oldest daughter is the images she sees online, like Instagram and stuff like that. I tried profusely to protect my kids from that crap. However, if you give them a smartphone, I will guarantee you that your kids within just a short amount of time are going to be smarter about that phone than we are.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They've no ways. And I was just like, man, you can't have Instagram. So my youngest daughter now, she's like, oh, my friends have TikTok. I was like, I don't care. I'm not like your other friends. I'm not like their parents. I don't give in to the social pressures. And I go, I've made a mistake. I've learned from that mistake. I'm not repeating. And I go, you don't need it. It doesn't prove anything. There's nothing on there that you can't see,
Information. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's it.
As we wrap this up, Dustin, I mean, one, I can't be more appreciative for you being on the show, but two, what kind of advice would you give to a transitioning service member?
Transitioning service member. Well, I would, if you're getting out, take the necessary steps to do one, get your VA stuff in order. That's going to be wildly important to get your VA stuff in order, because if you wait till the day you get out, it's going to be months before you get your VA taken care of. So about 6 months before, start taking care of that. Start taking classes of what you are, or before that you're going to get out, start taking classes of something that you want to get into afterwards. And just like a business, write a plan. Write a plan of what you want to do when you get out, because that will help you succeed and give you a vision. It will give you your drive. It will give you your purpose. When you leave the military, you no longer have a mission. You have a vision, and we'll establish that. Get a plan. I guarantee you that will help out. Not only that, but go seek some financial services, because you think you've got it covered, and you will hit some roadblocks along the way that will hit you harder than probably anything, because medical is more expensive than anything. And that's, I was medically retired, so I'm a different breed, but that's one of the number one things I hear is like, damn, I didn't really budget $800 a month for medical. So, financial plan, a career plan, and definitely take some certs or something like that if you know what you're gonna get into beforehand, and handle that VA before you get out.
No, that's great. That's great advice. So I love it. Take care of your VA stuff, get some certs or take some classes, from a civilian perspective, because you've got all the military certifications, you've got all the military accolades and ribbons and everything that you wear on your chest and certificates, but the civilian world doesn't know what that means. So if you get something that the civilian world understands, it pays dividends. I love the write a plan, right? It's nothing like putting something on paper. And even if you wrote it on your wall, for goodness sake, you'd have to wake up every morning and see what you want to be. So I love that. And then financial advice, because we're used to getting our BAH, our BAS, that base pay, everything costs a little less, and on the outside, it's just a different animal. It's just a different animal.
Yeah. Really analyze it too, because you have somebody else who's going to be looking at that, who has an outside perspective, who's not emotionally tied to it. They're going to tell you the real nitty gritty of how long that savings is going to last you. Not only that, but what's going to take to replace what you're making in the military.
Right.
And it's harder to walk out of a $90,000 job than you think and go right into another $90,000 job.
Agreed. Doc, any parting shots for the crowd?
No, Dustin, dude, thanks for sharing your stories, brother. It's freaking epic. Lots of stuff I didn't know from the times we've had a chat, man. So look forward to seeing you on the road, brother. we're going to do some events together. So JB will be nice and hyped up with the coffee. Dustin will have to get JB out on the road with us and drink some brews. But yeah, thanks for coming on, dude. Really appreciated your time. And what a podcast episode, dude. And JB and I look forward to being on yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely want you guys to come on mine and talk about we'll talk some more.
Awesome. That's too good, man. Yeah, my jaw's a little sore after I hit the floor 3 times.
Yeah. You know, that's it's one of those stories. I just and it's not over, you know. So I'm gonna get punched again. But you know, it's okay because I'm gonna get right back the fuck up.
That might be the best advice right there. Be ready to get hit and be ready to get back up.
You're gonna get hit. So, you know, that's okay. Just get back up from it.
All right.
Rocky Balboa. All right, lads. Thanks. I appreciate it, gents.
All right, guys. Thanks, Doc. JB.
All right, brother.
You guys have a good day, okay?
All right. You too, bro. All
right.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in and spending a bit of time with us at the Military Transition Academy powered by Vets to PM. If we piqued your interest, but you want more details, please head over to the website vetstopm.com and see if we can help prepare you for a better tomorrow or a future meaningful and lucrative career.